Cool, was good. Another uncut entry. This week, what do we do? Oh, what the fuck did I do? Well, worked on pattern grading the Forge Denim Jacket pattern. And yeah, that's making my head spin. I've never pattern graded anything ever. So that's why I'm in that unfamiliar sort of phase of the process. And I'm just watching a bunch of YouTube tutorials and then asking ChatGPT how to go about it. But actually, no, that's a lie. I've only started digitizing the patterns so then I can start pattern grading them. And the way I did it is I have the patterns behind me and I would lay them flat and then just take a picture from, bird's eye. And then from there, trace it. Oh, first of all, scale it. I use Rhino 3D, and that's a CAD software that I'm familiar with using. And it's not usually used for fashion. I mean, it's what I used back in architecture school, and that's what I'm familiar with. Some people use Illustrator to pattern, uh, digitize their patterns, but Illustrator isn't really for that in terms of accuracy. But since with Rhino 3D, I used it for architecture, and you can get the whole scaling stuff and the measurements as accurate as you possibly want. So that's what I'm using, to digitize the patterns, and then later on, that's what I'm gonna use to, pattern grade. I was thinking of using Clo 3D, but I'm not like that well versed with Clo 3D compared to Rhino 3D. And plus the laptop I have is fucking 10 years old and it struggles with the using Clo 3D or running Clo 3D. So I've decided to, opt out on using Clo 3D for now until I, upgrade my machine. And since I can fucking sew the shit myself, but then it is nice to be able to see how your patterns fit together digitally before it's sewn. So there is an advantage when you're able to create prototypes using Clo 3D. But I still need to also find how like the workflow works when transferring sort of the patterns that I make on Rhino 3D into Clo 3D and shit like that. But that's for next week for me to figure out and whatnot. But yeah, honestly, it's very tedious, this part of the process, because obviously even when you take pictures and you scale it, there's some warping and distortion that occurs when you take an image of the patterns. I think the most accurate way to digitize your patterns is to actually scan. If you have a big enough access to a big enough scanner that you just feed your patterns in, and then that scans it to scale, and then you can just trace over it. But since I did it through using my phone, taking a picture, the lenses, whatever, depending on what lens you use, there will be some distortion. So then I had to so I traced the patterns. So once I've traced all the patterns, I then had to correct it. So I would go back and forth measuring the actual pattern and then trying to, get it as the digital pattern that I have, trying to get that as close to whatever. Because even the patterns I have behind me, they aren't perfect, they're not like, even these patterns have, slight issues, which I then corrected on the digital pattern. But the rule of thumb is, let's say if the sleeve opening and then the actual sleeve cap, if the length of the sleeve opening and the sleeve cap matches, then you really don't have any problems. And same goes with like the collar. If the neck, if you measure the neck opening and it's X centimeters, and then the collar's length is also X centimeters, and they both match, then you're fine. Like things, you start having problems when the neck opening is longer than, let's say, the collar length, and depending on like the tolerance of that, if it's way off, then it's going to, you're gonna have the fabric, like, what do you call it, it's not pooling. Yeah, you get some fabric pooling, and then also you may also get like pleats, unwanted pleats, because obviously the fabric is being bunched together when you're sewing, so then you can end up getting like unwanted pleats. But yeah, the rule of thumb is, when you're sewing neck opening, sleeve opening, that your lengths match, or there's some, or they're within tolerance. But yeah, that's sort of what I'm learning as I go through these processes. And honestly, I will definitely delegate this part of the process in the future. But for now, I need to go through each step so that I can familiarize myself with the actual process, from, concept to delivery. And this part of the process, like I mentioned, I haven't touched upon ever. So this is just me first time going through it. So once I've gone through it, then obviously I'll then be able to refine the process. And once I've refined the process, it wouldn't feel, it wouldn't take as long to do, and I'll be more knowledgeable in general. So then when I approach manufacturers, I know how things are, I know the processes behind the patterns being graded and whatnot, the tolerances, and what stuff to, check. Because obviously, if you just go straight into manufacturing and you're not aware of the processes, then you're basically learning, you'll be learning through wasting your money, like through failed samples, through failed bulk production. And for me, I'd rather be aware of the processes now before I embark, delegating and finding a manufacturer. Even now, it's still too early, because I don't have much traction yet for the brand. So why would I go straight to a the manufacturers where there's minimum order quantities that I won't even, meet at this present moment. That's why I just have to be, very, what's the word? Calculative or whatever. I don't know the fucking word, man. But just me, I just need to be aware of like where I'm at and the moves that I gotta do, you know? Right now I'm working with the bare minimum, but then with that bare minimum I could do a lot. But yeah, what I what I have realized is I do need to make use of my time a little bit better, allocate certain. Oh, I just need to lock in more. I think it might just be the process, honestly, because what I realized is I would try to digitize these patterns, but then I'd get bored after 10 minutes. I'll take a little break, have a little scroll, and then get back to it. I guess it's just because I'm so unfamiliar with this process that I can't focus. Yeah, I can't focus like unlike sewing, man, I could just lock in and I could sew for hours. But with this part of the process, yeah, it's too boring, or at least boring in a sense that I'm unfamiliar with it. That's why I find it boring. And what else? What else? What else? I've completed the. I think I mentioned this in the last entry. I've completed the Forge Denim Vest, and all that is left is to do some marketing shit, marketing as well as what is there, as well as like product images and whatnot. And honestly, even with that part of the process, I'll just happily delegate it. I'm so over. I mean, back then when I was just like a fashion consumer, I would like spend hours just taking images of my outfits, videoing myself and shit like that. Like originally, I wanted to be like a YouTuber and just like focus on fashion in terms of like fashion style and stuff. You know how these fashion influencers nowadays on like Instagram and whatnot, like they would video themselves with their outfits, blah blah blah. But I wanted to do that maybe like more than 10 years ago when it was all on YouTube. But now that I've become a producer, making my own shit, I've sort of just graduated from that. So I can't be asked to be going outside wearing my shit, setting up the camera and videoing myself doing all this nonsense. I call it nonsense now because I'm so over it, you know. I'm over that stage, like the whole fashion motherfucker vibe, just filming for aesthetic, blah blah blah. Like I'm so over that shit. But obviously that's just because I'm a one man army. In the near future I would fucking delegate this to a small marketing team with actual models, and then they would be the ones handling this. But right now, oh, to be fair, right now, shh, but right now, I'm working with what I have. But yeah, that's something I need to sort out very soon since I'm dropping the Forge Denim Vest on the 28th of February, which would be next week when I'm filming this. Oh, when I drop this, it would be that day. else? Pretty much, it's a slow week, honestly, because like I said, I'm in that unfamiliar territory with pattern drafting and not pattern drafting, digitizing the patterns. And what else? I don't think I mentioned that I'm also on my lean bulk. How many weeks am I into my lean bulk? Me filming this, it would be, 2 weeks in. Yeah. So now I'm not cutting calories, yeah. So I don't need to fucking starve or some shit like that. Like, and I can actually, I mean, I'm doing a lean bulk, and a lean bulk just means my maintenance calories and just adding about 150 to 200 calories on top of that, So it's not like a crazy bulk, like a dirty bulk where you just fucking have 3,000 calories each day. Nah, that's too much. I'm doing like a very controlled lean bulk because I like being lean now. Now that I've gotten myself to a very lean sort of body fat percentage, I don't even know. I'm sure I'm around like 15 to 12%. And at one point, maybe when it's summer, I want to get down to single digit body fat percentage. But until then, I'm gonna slowly increase my calories and start pushing weight more in the gym and reducing. Because when I was weight cutting, I was also weightlifting and also doing boxing in the same day. And then during my rest days, I would box, so it would be like an active rest day. That's like during the week, and then on the weekend it's a pure rest day. Like I'm not doing anything active. But now I'm changing it since my goal is different now. I'm trying to put on more muscle mass, and also I'm not trying to burn much fat because I've already lost the fat. I've lost almost 10 kg, and you can see it, man. I'm very lean. So now my main focus is, progressive overload, hitting my calories, and making sure that my average throughout the week is, at 2.4, 2.5K. I don't want to go any more over that because the thing is with lean bulk is very controlled. So you're only gaining, I think it's like 0.25 or zero point 0.5 kilograms per month. So it's super controlled, because I want to keep my fat very low and then also build my muscle. But in this route, it just takes very, very slow, and I'm cool with that. Like, why rush this process? Why rush anything, anyways? Just enjoy the fucking journey. So that's what I'm doing with my whole fitness. But other than that, I can't think of anything else. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap it there. Yeah, I'm out. Peace.